Here is a quick little video which helps you understand how to use the storing feature, the memory feature, on your TI-30. So here's a problem I did in class where you cancel these a's and you take b to the fifth divided by b to the second, which is b to the third, and then 56 over 29 was from the previous step, and to get rid of that little 3, you take a cube root. So I'm going to come over to my calculator and I'm going to attempt to take the cube root of 56 divided by 29. So when you do a cube root, you have to hit 3 to know what kind of root it is. And then second caret does the xth root button. You can see that, xth root. So that's how you do a cube root. And then because it's a fraction, I need to enclose it in parentheses. So 56 divided by 29, close the parentheses. So that's how you're going to do a cube root of 56 29ths. Now, option 1 is to write that whole number down. So I come over and I do 1.245269477 equals b. Now, that's fine if you want to write it down, but your calculator has this little memory feature or storing feature. So if I want to take this number and I want to store it, I can store it as the letter A, B, C, D, or E. I'm going to store it as an A. So if I move this arrow, I can underline it to a different thing. Right now, I've got A stored as 1.19 from a different problem, but I'm just going to hit enter, and it's going to store my number that I had, 1.24526. Let me just make sure that that worked. So if I hit second recall, and I come up here, and I hit A like it is, notice how it's the number that I have with all the decimals. So anytime I want to use that, I just go down here to second store, the stow with an arrow, and hit recall. If I stored something in B, which I will in a second, I would come over here and hit enter. But if I go to A and I hit that, boop, that number comes up. And notice how it has all the decimals. Boy, look at all those decimals. All right, so now what do I do after I get this special b? Well, then my function is y, and for this problem, I'm going to finish this out, a times this 1.24 thing, but now that I have it stored, I don't have to write all those decimals, and then that equals x. One of the points that I used from the previous problem was the point 5, 56. So now, if I want to find this a, I'll take this 56 and put it in for y, and I'll take this 5 and put it in for x. So now I'm going to come over here and I'm going to do 56 equals, I don't know what my a is, but I got this whole 1.24 thing to the 5th, because that's my ordered pair, x and y. So now my mission is to find a. Well, how do I do this? I'm going to have to take this 1.24 to the 5th power. So I come over here, if you typed it all out, you can absolutely type it back in. But I'm going to hit second, recall, and I'm going to hit enter. And then I'm going to take that to the 5th power. So caret 5 equals, that's going to be 2.99. You don't want to cut those off. So I'm going to say that this is 2.99, all those decimals, times a equals 56. But now what I want to do is I probably want to store this in my calculator as b. So I'm going to hit stow, and I'm going to move over to b and hit enter. So my answer has been stored as b. Okay, cool. So now how do I solve? I take 56 divided by that number. So I'm going to go 56 divided by, and now I need to recall what I stored. Second recall, and I think I used b. I'm just confirming. Yeah, I kind of wrote it down. I think so. I hit enter, and if you go back with my little arrows here, notice how I had 56 divided by all of the decimals equals 18.70. So now I'm just checking my screen here to make sure that that is the right answer, and it is. So now I come over here and I say that my function, which is up here, is going to be y equals the whole thing, 18.701279, and if I really wanted to, I could store that as c just in case if I needed it later. And then it's times, remember that 1.24 guy? Dot, 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 to the x. That's my function. Just notes to self, this is in my calculator, stored as C. This is in my calculator. I believe I stored it as A. Let me just double check. Clear. Second, recall the RCL above the stow. And yes, it was 1.24 was my A. And that's how you use this beautiful little button, which is above the on key.